What's up, guys? So I want to make this video just to show you how I scout public land. So let's just dive right into it, and if you guys find anything useful, helpful, comment below. You got any questions on anything, just comment below, let me know, and I will definitely be sure to answer them as soon as I can. So the first thing I do is find public land to hunt. Fortunately for me, I have a lot to choose from. This is the Wisconsin DNR public access lands website. All this green stuff's public, and it's 4,000 or so acres, which is ridiculous. So I have a lot to choose from, and today I've kind of picked out this area for various reasons that I'll get into later, but I can't get this green to become transparent so you can see through it and see all the stuff behind it. So what I've done here is I've just pulled up Google Maps as well, and you'll see like Highway 19 runs here, Yawker Road comes down and bends, and then this brown stuff is private land that is leased to the public, so the DNR actually leases it, and then this green stuff is actually DNR owned land. So if I pull up Google Maps here, this is that road comes down and kind of curves right here, and there's a road that goes all the way back into here, a field road, and kind of comes out this way. This piece up here is this kind of piece right here. So I always like to find my boundaries right away so I know where I'm not trespassing, because that's always important. And so it's kind of this big chunk right in here that I want to look at today. Probably be a few hour walk, but what I'm planning on doing is coming down this field road here, coming down up onto this, there's a hill, this is kind of like a knob, coming through here, seeing what tracks I can pick up, come down here, and then back around and out this way. I've already looked at this piece. It actually had a lot of good sign, but I wanted to check out this piece too, because there was definitely a lot of tracks coming out of here and into here. And this is a brand new piece for me, never walked it before. So, you know, that's kind of my game plan. I just kind of look for pinch points, really. So I guess I might make it down here a little bit. This looks like a decent pinch, but there's not really a reason for them to come down here because there's no food or anything. I'm not sure. We'll find out when I get out there. But this looks like a decent pinch. Come around here. This kind of looks like short vegetation, thick vegetation, which I've found to be decent bedding area, so maybe this will be bedding. And then also this could be another pinch here, this woods on this edge. And this is just a big CRP field up on top of a hill. So I'm gonna make my big loop here with my dog today, and we will see what I find. Well, out here right now, we just got in between these two little clumps of woods. Behind me here, this is private. You can see that no trespassing sign right there. This over here is leased to public. So we're heading down this road here, see how it bends, and it'll kind of bend. You can kind of see those far off trees. Those are where those big trees start, and we'll hit that field edge and go. It just snowed last night. It was like rain and then snow, so I don't think we're gonna find many tracks right now, really. You know what would be really nice is to find some beds now that there's some snow on the ground. I really think that we could find some beds from just last night. So find out where they're bedding right now. Hopefully that's where they're bedding next fall. But we'll still be able to see a lot of the rubs. We'll have general idea of scrapes. You know, when you find scrapes, it's not always just on the ground, it's the branches. All the branches are broken off. So we'll still be able to see those pretty well. So we're just gonna kind of start our walk here, and we'll see what we find. I got my walking partner with me who doesn't care about the camera at all, Jax. He's off and running. He's just got so much energy, I just don't know what to do with him. So I come bring him out here and just let him try to burn it all off. It still doesn't matter. Hounds, man, they're one of a kind, right? So away we go. Alright, well that's cool. Turns out I lied. Found tracks right away. 2 sets, 3 sets, 4 sets. 4 sets of tracks right away. They're actually coming right down this road, which typically would mean that it's nighttime, and seeing as it's 9:30 this morning or so, I'm fairly certain it was last night they came through here. Some of these are definitely more fresh than the others, but at least we know, you know, morning or late night, because it didn't snow until about midnight last night. So between midnight and 9 in the morning they came through here. So this could be a decent morning spot. You know, I never really thought of it as a morning spot, but it could be. I mean, we're finding the tracks, so you know, those guys don't lie. They were here. I mean, shoot, there's at least 5 or 6 deer. Look at these. All right, so originally I was gonna head down this path. This is what I talked about on the Google Maps thing. This is where I was gonna go, but all the tracks go down this trail right over here. So I'm gonna take that trail and we'll just kind of follow that along and see where it goes. So based on finding all these tracks in this field, the amount of tracks, which way they're going and everything, like it really tells me that it's a great idea, really reinforces the idea, I should say, that scouting in the spring is almost a must if you're planning on hunting this fall. I would have been 700-800 yards the other way if I hadn't come out here. You know, I would have come out in the fall and I just would have set up down there, and maybe I might see something, maybe not. But now, seeing all these tracks come through this field here, I mean, there's a ton of them. There had to be 6, 7, 8, 9 deer in here in the last 9 hours coming through here. I know that I want to set up. I'm probably gonna set up back in this corner if I find some good sign. You got a field right up here, it's just grass. But then back in this little corner here is a little pinch. You know, this wood strip is probably, I don't know, 40, 50 yards wide. You could shoot the whole thing if you set up right in the middle. So that's what I'm really looking at, and I wouldn't have known that if I didn't come out here right now. So, you know, one of my tips, get out in the spring, guys. Get out there and check your spots right now, and don't worry about the weather conditions, or, you know, it's too cold, it's too warm, I'm not gonna see any tracks, whatever it is. Like, just get out there and get your boots on the ground and get going, because, you know, there's no better day than today to start. There's my motivational speech for the day too. But seriously, just get out and scout in the spring. You're gonna be so happy come the fall. Last year I did it and I set up, and first morning I had 2 does come through, which is exactly what I was expecting. So, you know, I didn't shoot either of them and I didn't find that big buck, but at the same time, I had opportunities because I scouted in the spring. So if you're not, you should start. There's my little tip. Dog's growling at a log right now, that's funny. Get him, Jax. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just a log, man. It's just a log. Turkey tracks there, along with some deer tracks. It's another thing here. I mean, I just crossed 2 sets of turkey tracks. I got a tag here for what, 2 months from now. It's late February, so yeah, April. I got a tag coming out now. I can really scout for turkeys too. It's not just deer that I'm scouting for, because I like to shoot me a big old thunder chicken too. So, you know, another tip number 2 is get out anyway, because it'll get you set up for your turkeys. I know it's a lot easier to find them by calling, but at the same time, you really find their roosting spots and where they're gonna be right away in the morning. So, second tip, get out there not just for deer, but also for turkeys. So here's that corner that I was talking about. That's that corner tree right there, and I said there were no tracks there. But if you look just inside, there's a few tracks there. There's those turkey tracks, but there was some deer tracks. So that means these deer are using this little pinch here. I mean, shoot, look, it's probably 30 yards to the top side of that field and 10 to that field. So this thing's 40 yards wide. You could set up in the middle of it with a good wind, and anything coming from one direction you have in range. So that's one of my favorite points, or spots to hunt. And for anybody who doesn't know like pinch points and what they are, this is one of them. To me, deer don't like to be in the open. They like to stay as hidden as they can. And if you get a thin wood strips like this, they're almost always dynamite, because the deer would rather stay hidden in this wood strip than be out in the middle of that field. I know on all the TV shows and everything, they're always out in the middle of the fields and they're out prancing around, and you know, you got 150 inches just hanging out in the field. Well, that's not reality to me. In my world, on this public land, it is extremely rare for me to see them out in the middle of these grass fields, unless they're getting up from a bed or something. So for me, and where I hunt, in my experience, it's been get in these thin strips of woods. Get in these strips and set up on one end or the other based on your wind, and know which way they're coming from. And if you don't, set up a scouting stand, set up further out, or just play the wind really hard and go to one far end. If you got, like, so say you got a north wind, go to the south end of that wood strip so that your wind's blowing right over the grass, and just sit there and watch. You know, keep your distance, but just sit there and watch. And then, you know, maybe you see something, maybe you don't, and you creep in a little closer and closer. So if you got 2-3 days to hunt, that's what I would suggest doing. And if you don't have that, if you're a working person, I usually don't have 2-3 days to hunt. But if you're if you don't do that, if you don't have that amount of time, that's what makes this time right now so important. You know, getting out here and really finding your spots right now, so that come the fall, you're not out here 3, 4, 5, 6 times and not seeing deer. You know, this scouting now in the spring will get you out there and seeing deer faster than just going out there in the fall and going, I'm not sure, I think they're gonna be over here. You know, put some data to it, put some numbers to it, and figure out where they are. Okay, so here's another good trail. Now I'm at the top. I just moved 20 yards and I found 3 trails within this tiny little opening here. And right now I can shoot the whole thing super easy. There's no vegetation, everything's dead, right? I mean, there's nothing in here. I could climb up 15 feet and shoot the whole thing. Come the fall, I'm gonna have to come back out here in August and find out where these lanes are, because like I said, you know, the vegetation's gonna grow up, and there's 3 trails here and I want to be able to shoot them all. So, you know, they're obviously traveling this way, so I need a crosswind so I can set up on that end or on that end, and then I'll be set up and I'll be good to go. You know, it's just finding the right tree, finding the right spot, and making sure that that I can shoot all these lanes. That's another thing is, you know, you're out here in the spring, everything's dead. Just remember that come the fall, everything's going to be alive and it's going to be super lush in here, and that's why they love to move through here, is because you can't see them. So just remember that. Alright, so here's 2 scrapes. This one and this one. Right here. Got some tracks going right by it too. So that's a good sign, right? Got some scrapes, or I'm sorry, rubs. Whatever, they're scrapes, rubs. They're deer sign, right? They're bucks. Bucks do it. That's all that matters. So I got some rubs right here on this edge, which is good to know because this edge kind of teams up with that field up there. So you could actually set up right in this little patch here and you could shoot this grass area, which I'm standing in right now, and you could also shoot up to the top or into that little wood strip and up to the top of it. So this seems like a pretty nice spot. The only thing is you don't really have a great wind for any of it, so you'd have to kind of play one or the other and just hope you don't get busted. But finding these rubs now is always good too, because you know, a lot of rubs are an annual thing, right? They rub the same trees or the same spot every year. So finding those areas now, if you don't know a spot, will help you get set up next year for, you know, pre-rut, late October, early November, when they're coming through and making all those rubs. All right, so here's the top. Here's the top of this big field area. You can see it's all CRP. So to me, what I've been hunting here, I haven't seen many deer in the CRP. There's some snow on the lens, sorry, can't help it right now. But anyway, I haven't been seeing many deer in the CRP, so I really like to hunt these woods edges around the edges of it, just because it's better cover for them, in my opinion, and they stay in it more and they'll travel through it more versus out in this CRP. They'll bed in the CRP definitely, but I feel like they travel through the woods more. And I'm a tree stand hunter, so really I can't really hunt in CRP. I can hunt the edges of it. So and I bet I'll hunt a few spots that are on the edge just so I can overlook it, but for the most part I'll hunt the woods. So I'm gonna make my way over to these woods over here and then walk that whole edge, hopefully find some rubs and some scrapes, maybe some trails or two. It's much further over there than over here from the main access point, so it's a further distance to walk. So I feel like over there I'm gonna find less people come fall. One other thing is that there's this big trail, right? The big farm road that comes through here. And that is probably going to be my point of access to all these spots. So what I'll do actually is I'll find a few spots around this field that I like to hunt. And then when I want to hunt, or when I have time to hunt this, I'm going to just look at the wind and go, okay, so where's the wind coming from? And how can I best access a spot without getting busted? So to me, you have to have different spots for different winds. I know a lot of people that have their tree stand or their place that they go, and that's all well and good, but if you have a bad wind, you're not going to shoot a big buck. 99.99999% of the time, that buck's going to smell you. So what I'll do is I'll pick out, I have 2 spots down here that I picked out to hunt, and I'll find a couple more spots up here that I want to hunt, and based on the wind, that's what I'll hunt. So I'll come out here and I'll come down this access road and either go back that way down the hill or up the hill over this way, depending on the wind. And that's what I hunt. I try not to just really hunt a specific area. I just try to play the wind and play my odds, and it's usually works out pretty well. So that's what I do. If you have anything else that you do, let me know. I'd love to hear about it, because I am always open to learning how to kill bigger deer. I'm always curious in what other people do to kill bigger deer. Another thing I just thought of walking across the CRP field is like, oh, I might kick out a pheasant. Oh crap. That means that it's entirely possible that the Wisconsin DNR plants this field and there's going to be pheasant hunters out here come fall. You know, I think it's mid-October when season opens. I love the pheasant hunt, but I like the deer hunt more. So that is definitely one consideration, is, you know, the other hunting. When you're hunting public land, make sure that, you know, when you're going out there, if you're going out there for the first time in the fall, or even, you know, scouting it out, make sure that you take a look at other hunting opportunities, because it's entirely possible that I set up, you know, a beautiful stand on the edge of the CRP here, and then some guy and his dog just come burning through and blow up some pheasants in front of me, and my chances are done. So keep that in mind when you're looking. I know I am now when I'm looking for my stands where I want to set up, because I'll set up further off these fields and further back in the corners where people are less likely to go. Okay, so I just came in from this woods up above here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually walk it perpendicular all the way down, hoping to cut a trail that comes across. I used to just walk, you know, the field edge or up on top all the way along, and I realized that I was missing a lot of tracks that were, or trails that were down in there a little bit further. So what I do every time now is I come to a woods line, and I always walk perpendicular to it, and I always walk through it first so that I can try to cut a track. I haven't cut a track yet, which is surprising, because I'm in here about 30-40 yards, but who knows, maybe they're all these deer are walking the bottom edge, and maybe they're not walking through here at all. I have no idea. There's a lot of squirrel tracks, so it usually means that there's acorns or walnuts or something, but at the same time, I don't know. We'll see if I can cut a track and a trail. Maybe there's just one massive trail going through here, which would be fantastic, because that'd be easy to set up on. We'll see. So, did find some tracks right here going on along this field road, which is awesome. Found tracks, found signs, so there are deer over on this side, but at the same time they're on a field road. It's been my experience on public land that deer that walk field roads walk them at night. So, and I've learned that through actually, you know, in my younger years, 10 years ago when I was just starting out, I would hunt these field edges or these field roads, and I'd never see a deer. I'd be like, there's tracks everywhere, but I never see them. Well, it's because they come through at night. So what I do with this information is I find out where they're coming from and going to, and I'll use that information to set up on those points. So say they're coming from a bedding area and going to a food source at night, or coming from a food source and going to a bedding area, then I'll use that information to either set up in the evening on the food source or set up in the morning on the bedding area. That's usually how I like to do it. You may have other ideas, but you know, this information I'm not going to set up on this field road and expect to shoot, you know, a big deer on it. I would expect though that whatever bedding area these deer are coming to or leaving, I would expect to shoot a deer on the bedding area. So find those destination points and then set up on those rather than setting up on a field road, and I bet your odds are going to jump dramatically. Alright, so I got off that field road and I followed some tracks into this really thick, nasty stuff, and I'm just about to the end of it. You can kind of see the field opening behind me. But as I'm going through, I'm noticing on a lot of these trees, there's rubs on them. And this is super low, super dense vegetation. And I think this is a prime bedding spot for them, a bedding area. So, based on the tracks I saw on the field road, the tracks coming in and out, and all these rubs that I've been seeing, I counted like 7 or 8 while I was walking through here, but it's really thick, so I put the camera away. But I'm fairly certain this is a bedding area. So from here, now I can start planning spots around it. Areas based on wind, based on food sources, based on travel routes, that I can start setting up for these deer. There's a big woods over here that I'm going to go check, and this is kind of that northeast section of that big field that we were looking at, the chunk that we wanted to look at. So there's a big cornfield up over this way, there's a patch of woods before it, and then there's this bedding area, which to me is perfect. You go from bedding through the woods, you're really sneaky, you're out in the field, and you're away from people. It's really far back here. I think this is a great spot, and there's rubs all over the place to confirm that they're in here. So, you know, this is what I'm going to use as my central bedding area where I think they are, and then I'll plan my routes off of it. Real quick, just made it like 10 steps, but here's another thing I look for are these broken branches. You kind of see here, this branch, and then over here, you can see this branch here. They're broken, and there's snow on the ground, but usually that means that it's a scrape at one point. This is a great scrape area. There's tracks coming in and out of here. So everything's telling me that the scrapes, the rubs, the thick cover, it's telling me that this is a bedding area. So it's just confirming it a little bit more. And one thing that I just wanted to point out is when you have snow on the ground and you can't find scrapes, always check your branches. Check your branches all the way around. I can even look over to my right here, and a lot of these branches, these tips are broken. You know, so that's a great tip that I had told to me at one point is, you know, check the trees, don't always just check the ground. And it's told me a lot, and I found a lot of scrapes doing that.
just looking at the branches. So we're gonna head into this woods here now, because there's a field right on the other side. So we're gonna head into this woods, check that out, and then we're gonna head back. Just to confirm this a little bit more, I took a few steps out of there, found some tracks, looked up, and I see this giant rub right here. Seeing this thing? This is a beast right here. I mean, it's got to be, I think my hand's about 8 to 10 inches, so it's 8 inches long right in this area. There's a huge scrape right over here on this tree. I mean, this is a good spot. I like it. I have high hopes for it. It's looking pretty good. So I walked this woods. I found a few tracks, but nothing special. But I'm reminded that this snow has only been on the ground for about 10 hours. Started at midnight last night. It's about 10 in the morning now. So, you know, it hasn't had time for the deer to come through here in the evening, which is what I would assume they do, because this is like a staging area where they'll come out of that bedding, they'll hang out in here, and then once it gets dark, they'll go out into the field and eat. So, you know, they haven't had time to make tracks in here yet. So I'll probably just come back in a couple days and see if there are any tracks. This isn't too far off the main path, so it shouldn't be too bad of a walk, and just check it out again to confirm that this is a good spot. I have high hopes in this spot. I think it is pretty good, just with all the cover and all the sign. The ability to get in here, I could sneak in here on a good wind and never even be noticed. So I didn't see anything, but at the same time, like I said, the snow has only been on the ground for a few hours, so I wouldn't expect to. All right, well, that concludes this. I'm gonna head back and then reconvene on Google Maps with you guys and show you exactly where I walked today and what sign we saw at the different places, so that you guys can have a better idea as to what your piece of land might look like if you have similar qualities as this piece.
All right, back in my computer, and just want to recap today's scouting trip. So it started out here at number 1, came down to 2, and kind of just followed the red dots all the way around to 11, and then back over and went home. My truck's parked over this way. If you remember from the original Google Map video, I was planning on coming down here, hitting this north side, going to the east side, hitting this swamp, and then finding my way up here and back out. And once I got out here, the tracks just led me off in a slightly different direction, which turned out to be great. Found a lot of action in this thin strip here, which is a great pinch point, and a place I'll probably hunt in the morning on a northwest wind. The reason I say the morning is because there are a lot of tracks here before 10 a.m. and after midnight, so it's got to be morning activity over here. Also northwest wind, because it'd be blowing out of this way and be blowing my scent right across this CRP field. What I do is come down this road, come out on top of this field road here up in the CRP, and then just work my way back over to this east side of the strip and just set up along this edge here so I can see down this little hill and into this strip of woods. I think it'd be a great spot, like I said, in the morning to catch these deer, probably coming from these food sources up here. They're early morning bedding somewhere in this area, and then making their way down here for their midday or late morning bedding. So I think that'd be a great morning spot. This area over here was kind of a bust. You know, didn't see too much for sign or tracks or anything. Just those field tracks on that field road, which, like I said, is more than likely nighttime activity. But did make my way up here to this real thick bedding up here, which was a great find, because that means that this spot up here will more than likely be a really good evening sit. What I'd hunt this spot up here on is a south wind, and in the evening, like I said, I'd come down this road, come straight across, and then just find my way into a good spot right around in here. This is all tall grass, so if I had a south wind, all my scent would be blowing up into here, which I'm not hunting, and the tall grass would camouflage me as well as really cover up a lot of my noise that I'm making as I'm walking through here. So if there are deer bedded in here, I can more than likely easily get in here and then find a good spot down here so I can watch this narrow strip of tall grass as well as this bedding area and see what's all coming out here to feed at night. So overall, a successful scouting mission. Got a few spots, this area for morning, this area for evening, and definitely places that I will try to hunt this fall. If you like the video and you actually learned something, or you got questions on something else, or you need some further information, please feel free to drop a comment down below. And also, if you did like it, subscribe. I'm going to be putting a bunch of these videos up this spring, this summer, into the fall for my hunts, and we'll just go from there. Like I said, I try to do this fairly educational because I really like to watch YouTube videos and see what other people are doing, and I hope this helps some of you. I know I didn't have this resource when I first started to hunt, and especially public land hunting, and I hope it's helpful for some of you out there. So if you like it, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next videos.